Hello, hello, hello. It is me, Tia Marie, the Soul Potential CEO, and I'm here today to talk to you about why manifestation feels hard. The evolution of accelerated sequences. Manifestation is one of my favorite personal areas of study. I see manifestation as kind of the gateway drug of spirituality. And in my awareness, the reason for this is the moment we see our energy, our spiritual nature, our essence, the moment we connect to our soul, the moment we feel the timeless aspects of who we are, our natural impulse is to then see what we can create from that knowing. And a lot of times, before we've had this awakening or awareness, we've created things in our lives that we would like to shift and change. And therefore, we end up in the conversation of manifestation. So many years ago, when I started studying spirituality, my doorway or the entryway was crystal grids. I really love stones. I have always loved stones. When I was a small child, I collected rocks. And when I went to hikes or, your local gift shop in a state park, I would always look at all the beautiful stones and collect them. And in moments when I was touching back into those childlike aspects of myself, into the parts of me that remembered magic and play and fun, it was easy for me to arrive back to the place where I wanted to know beautiful stones. And so I started studying crystal grids, and it was a bit of a treasure hunt for me in my journey back to becoming more of myself, multidimensional self. And so that led me to studying grids for the use of manifestation. And over the years, I studied a lot of different methodologies, but always for the purpose of understanding simply how I create in the world. What are the things that I can do that will get me closer to what I desire to experience in the way that I want to experience it? And my sense is that creation, aka manifestation, is our original magic. So if we connect to the parts of us that are powerful, we know our power. And what I want to talk about now is a shift in our conscious evolution. And what I discovered over the years, tapping into many, as I mentioned, different methodologies, different strategies, different ways of thinking about manifestation, and why that's always been so important to me. What I experienced on the journey was that at the end of the study of a particular methodology, I felt repeatedly disappointed by what I had learned. And it wasn't as though there were not aspects of the teaching that made sense to my mind, or that there were aspects of the teaching that worked sometimes, that operated like hit or miss or one hit wonders. There were aspects of the teachings that, of course, were true. And so there are always towards the outcome of mastery. But what always annoyed me or frustrated me or got me feeling disappointed at the end of this journey was a lack of comprehension. So a lack of comprehensive explanation, a lack of mastery, a sense that everything kind of had a ceiling on it that I was learning, that I was only being taught up to a certain level, that no one was truly explaining how all of it worked underneath, what the deep, deep mechanisms of creation was. I could understand the concept of a daily affirmation. I could understand the idea of universal law. I could understand the idea that energy goes first, that you attract, what you are, who you are, that holding a vision for something that you wanted to create was useful. I could understand that there were energies at play, perhaps ebb and flows of the universe, masculine and feminine energies, that there was a lot of dynamic information in the field of what one would present as a manifestation method. But what upset me, or I would say got me curious, was that I never really felt like it actually, quote unquote, worked. And then when I feel like something doesn't work, my past self would look at that situation and start to take personal responsibility, because the context for creation, the main thing that you have to believe if you're going to believe in manifestation, is that you are the one who's manifesting, right? And so that responsibility is a powerful doorway, but it's not always a powerful catalyst for transformation if you don't have a comprehensive awareness, if the methodology doesn't really teach you who you are within those teachings, if it doesn't really understand embodiment. We are in a timeline, we are in a collective moment right now where the ownership of that responsibility, combined with life science, study of the human mind, study of different forms of sciences. Like, we've gathered so much scientific data and math and brilliant minds contributing to the field, and awarenesses around multidimensionality and multiverse and the behavior of witness on light. And there's been so many advancements in consciousness over, the past 100 years, that we are really in this phase right now where that awareness of responsibility has taken us to a resting point of what I would call a singular matrix. So my frame for what I teach on manifestation has some very deep components, but at the same time is very simple. And one of the main awarenesses that I want to share with you in this chat is that you are a whole and complete universe, right? Your awareness, your witness, your consciousness, your physical body, your nature, your spirituality, your essence, your emotion, your love, the prayers that you hold in your heart, your desire, your play, your sexuality, your vibrancy, your aliveness, every bit, part, and piece and parcel of you is whole and complete. And therefore, if that is true, you have within you everything that you need to not only master your original magic, but just rest back, like fall back into what that is. And the majority of manifestation or creation teachings out there are created from the mental realm. And so the mental realm kind of has to come first. If you think of it like data being analyzed, like we have to kind of look around everything. We have to study something from a 360-degree view. We have to go over, down, under, and through information in order to get a real, immersive awareness of it. And then there is a moment, I believe, in each and every one of us that can be activated once we have that comprehensive awareness, where it becomes very simple. And I think collectively we are in these times where there is a real need. There is a very strong opportunity available to us to upgrade our tools. And that's what I'm calling an accelerated track or an accelerated sequence. So it's almost like all the complexity goes out there. Like it's out there, it's in the field. We have access to all of this information. And then we hit a center point and we could just ride this slipstream through to the other side. And so accelerated tracks, particularly when it comes to manifestation and to the point that you are a whole and complete universe, are those that go in and reveal complexity in you through simplicity and responsibility. So the teachings inside of my work on manifestation were birthed from the fact that I never settle. I never settle for explanations, tools, systems, frameworks, spiritual methodologies, information that is out there that does not work. Okay. It doesn't matter to me if it works occasionally. I'm wholly uninterested in fragmented teachings. And because of this, which it has been a great gift to me, actually, I have innovated and innovated and innovated, not only in myself, but in my work to find what is actually true underneath. And so the singular matrix says that you are a whole and complete field of creation. And if you are a whole and complete field of creation, then you should start to behave as such. And that we are in times where there is a fractaling of this multiverse, of this multidimensional universe, where each and every one of us, based on the decisions we make, based on the tools we use, based on where we put our awarenesses, based on how we invest our emotion, based on what we choose to engage in, connected to our communities, connected to our relationships, connected to who we be in the world, we are creating these dimensions of reality that are very different and unique from everybody else's. And because we are in such accelerated times, we will find ourselves in moments where, in connection to the decisions we've made and how we've constructed our awareness, we will be able to, manifest, quote unquote, create reality at great speeds. Because it is natural and easy for us to do so. The singular matrix becomes pressurized by the collective matrix when, if you can imagine it like two spheres, like a single sphere resting within a larger collective sphere. And the collective matrix is a pressure cooker. It's like everybody else's beliefs, all the other teachings that are out there, all the conscious matter, all the emotion, all of the decisions, all of the assumptions. Like it's so thick, and it's a dynamic morphing reality. And that is going to put pressure on your singular matrix, right? Pressure on your individual reality in order to be a catalyst for your own evolution. And so there are times where we feel dense. There are times where we feel pushed, where we feel basically out of alignment with life, and we have that as an opportunity to self-recognize our own state of reality. And the reason why manifestation feels hard a lot of times for us, and I'm going to share 3 tips with you to connect deeper into what I am feeling is the important way to lay out this conversation, is that it feels hard because it doesn't work. Like, if your relationship to manifestation feels hard, it's because the way that you're doing it doesn't work. And I feel like so often we don't give ourselves props. This is how we get stuck in like these kind of spiritual methodologies, and we actually start to like devolve instead of evolve, when we're just like, oh, it doesn't work. There must be something wrong with me. It must be because my energy is bad. It must be because I haven't done enough affirmations. It must be because I need to raise my vibration. It must be because I don't treat myself well. I don't have good enough boundaries. It must be because the person who taught it to me was a charlatan. It must be for this, right? And if you don't have a relationship to your own original magic, this is why to me manifestation is so important, because mastering creation is the one thing that I can do. It is the most purest, truest spark of my being, and it affects everything else in my life. So if I want to have a successful business, I need to understand how I create that. If I want to have successful relationships, I need to understand how my reality is creating itself around me and what is my role to play. So at the end of the day, the reason for me to geek out on manifestation is because it's pretty much just about who I am. I can go down and chase 1,000 rabbit holes on, relationships, on business strategies. I can chase down rabbit holes on different forms of healing my inner child, healing my bloodlines, healing my karma. I can go down, the dragon magic rabbit hole. I can chase down anything that I want, but it's like there's this inverted way that we've been attempting to open and awaken ourselves by connecting to a symptom of something that we're experiencing that we feel is broken, searching out the solution, and then going on a wild goose chase to figure out what that is, and feeling disappointed with the outcome instead of really just learning how we create. Because when we are creating, since that is our original magic, as how I experience it, when we are creating, our system inherently heals itself. Our system inherently corrects itself. Our system inherently starts operating properly because we're actually utilizing the aspects of us that are in play when we're playing the game. My 3 tips for why manifestation feels hard are, as I mentioned, if it feels hard, it's because it doesn't work. Conscious evolution and internal paradigms are shifting and changing, and we have to get to a place where the tools and the habits that we engage in and the way that we create is upgraded in step with our capacity. Piecemealing together systems that do not come from inside of you, right? If you do not understand how sequences of intention work, and you do not get to the place where your quote unquote tool for manifestation is so simple and potent, you're missing an opportunity to accelerate. You can spend all day long arguing about LOA and affirmations and vision boards and, repetition. You can study all the universal laws. You can go down every rabbit hole that you want, but there is a part and piece in you. There is a spark of you that already knows all of it, that is actually not confused about how it works. And that's why it feels hard, because you haven't touched and hit that place yet. You haven't gone home. And I feel this as truth in my bones in the most profound sense of my ability to describe it. It is so simple. Complexity is found in you. Upgraded tools, upgraded technologies are extremely potent, and we need this. And why is that? Why? Because we are not meant to expend energy processing irrelevant data. Everything becomes relevant when it's relevant in you. Everything becomes relevant when you have a relationship to it, when you understand how it works, when you become the work. But until you take that step to invert the system, it does not integrate in the way that it can. The second piece, or the second tip, is that mental strategies lose energy over time. So you can have all the information in the world, you can study and philosophize and muse and muse and muse. And it might work this time or that time for you to use a strategy, but it will lose energy over time in your system if you aren't cultivating the internal energy that is reaffirmed through the practice of what it is that you're engaging in. And that comes back to the concept of accelerated systems. And 3, choose your lane and strap in. The multiverse, the singular matrix, the conversation about the fractal matrix, meaning that the responsibility is really all in your hands. If you've seen it, you don't get to undo it. And if it's true, if your ability to create at a sovereign level is really, really true, then you have to take that all the way down to the root and understand that what you witness, what you engage in, is going to determine the outcome. So it's kind of like a choose your own adventure in reality. If you want to go down the alien spiritual dimension, and that's what you believe in, and you're waiting for an alien race to come and save you, that will be true for you. That will be your reality. If you want to go down the I'm healing myself through XYZ strategies, that will be your reality. If you want to be paranoid, you're going to live in a paranoid reality. If you want to be outraged about what's going on in the world, that's your dimension will literally be that. The algorithm of life is the algorithm of reality is dialed the fuck in right now. What you engage in is creating your algorithm. And that algorithm, that data algorithm that you're engaged in, and this has to do with your spiritual teachings, your friends, what you look at every day, what your habits are, how you are managing yourself. That is creating that singular matrix, and you are there. That's going to be it. But you can shift that. You can shift that when you make a choice to do that if you want. And the way that I've been experiencing this over the past year plus is that the more fine-tuned I become, the more choosy I become, it's actually moving really fast. It's extremely exciting. And I'm looking forward to having more conversations about this over this next 4 episodes, because we are celebrating a manifestation themed series of content inside Sanatia, coinciding with the sequence, a new paradigm of manifestation, which is one of my foundational programs, one of the foundational teachings inside of my work at Sanatia Soul School, and it is so powerful. This work has changed my life. I could talk about it forever. Like I said, manifestation is one of my favorite topics. It's one of my favorite fields of studies, and I have to say, I'm so glad that I never settled for mainstream manifestation teachings. I am so glad that I trusted myself when I thought, feels a little off, feels a little half-baked, feels a little bit, it's just not all there. Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's true. Affirmations work, sure. I could, yeah, I'll write on a piece of paper 500 times the ancient Egyptian ritual secret. It's a secret. 500 times a day on a piece of paper. It's a major ancient Egyptian secret. I'm going to do that. I'm going to act as if. I'm just going to sit around and create a vision board. I got my Vogue magazine. I am doing all the things. Walk around, smile, be positive, high vibe, right? Like, people who are deeply steeped in these types of teachings are some of the most delusional spiritual people on the planet. And guess what? We know this because some of us who actually understand what we were talking about see behind the scenes, and the math doesn't always add up. Okay. Like, I'm just here to have some real conversations about what's going on and offer an alternative. If you are interested in changing your relationship to all manifestation teachings and truly understanding what that means to look and live and act and become embodied creation, you should join me in the sequence. It will be beyond your expectations what you experience. I look forward to seeing you in our next chat. Bye.